I'm going to call to order the City of Burlington's Board of Finance on Monday, August 25th, 2025 at 4:33 p.m. And our first item is our agenda. Is there a motion on the agenda?
To adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Councilor Travers. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to take Councilor Dubizer as that hand. Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? I'll slow down since we have a lot of online folks tonight, so the delay is not awkward. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Move on to our next item, which is public forum. It is the practice of the Board of Finance to first go to members of the public in the room, and then we will go live. And so first, if there are any members of the public in the room, please let me know and we'll have you come up. With all city staff today, and they all politely smile at me. Make sure I know that they are city staff and not your public. Thank you. So we'll go online. And I see former City Councilor Sharon Busher hand raised. So Sharon, go ahead. Welcome.
Hi. Yeah, it looks like pretty skimpy. Everyone's still on vacation, I think. But anyways, I wanted to just ask a question, or try to get some information. It's on your consent agenda. It's the sound insulation program for the airport. And I thought when Gene Richards was still the director, he had given a report saying that that was going to sunset. So I'm not sure if new houses can be added, so I'm not quite sure if these are existing homes that were already in the program that now we're asking for funding to provide some of that window and door, et cetera, insulation. But it would be good to know where we stand with that program. I understand the rationale. I think it's smart that trying to piecemeal together the funds for all those homes. But it would be good to know if this is the last hurrah or whether there would be in the future money to accomplish more of this. And I don't know how many houses remain that would benefit from this insulation either. So that's really my question for the future. But it would be good also to be able to point the public to know where to find that information. So thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else online who would like to address Board of Finance? So raise your hand. Zoom hand on you. Not seeing anyone else. So I'm going to go ahead and close public forum. Thank you. And we'll move on to our third item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to adopt the consent agenda.
Moved by Councilor Travers. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Barlow. Thank you. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? See none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Nay. Motion carries unanimously. Now moving on to our first deliberative agenda item, item 4.1, which is a reclassification of one existing position within our Parks, Recreation, Waterfront department. So I assume Aaron, you are here with HR in the wings to support as needed.
In the wings.
In the wings or behind. Aaron, welcome.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce yourself to the board. It's been a day to formally come here, actually. But you know, what is mere time?
Aaron Moreau, Burlington Parks, Recreation, Waterfront Director and Harbor Master, and currently one of the three interim directors. That's enough of a long title.
Yes.
Okay. So I am here for a reclass of the Marina Manager and Deputy Harbor Master position, seeking a reclass from grade 18 to grade 20. And this is based off of a review over the past year and a half, and then certainly taking into account some of the changes that have occurred this year. This is the first position that we have put forward for a reclass to help us stabilize the department as we move forward. this is a really critical role for us, especially in revenue generation. And we know that revenue generation is going to be critical for this department to go forward with. There is some efficiency in this position in the sense that we're making a move from in specific to events. And what that will do is it's moving the operational aspects out of maintenance, which our maintenance department is fantastic, but asking them to do operations is a tall order and ask. And bringing it into line with those of us who do operations down at the waterfront. So moving one staff member from facility maintenance over to the waterfront, and that position is the on-the-ground support for events, which is something that is critical to our areas and Waterfront Park and the vibrancy of our town. And so we want to encourage some stability there by switching that over. Also, that position does two major things. They do the on-the-ground operations for events. They also do facility maintenance, of which we are woefully behind in the waterfront, and we have a few big projects coming up. And so part of this reclass is having this manager be able to take a larger role in maintenance contracts. It allows them to go back to RFP, RFQ, be part of the planning process, and also have a direct contact with our attorney's office to execute the maintenance contracts and really take advantage of our short off season to be able to do facility improvements to improve our areas and therefore generate more revenue for the department. And I expect that we'll have some questions, so I'm here to answer any and all.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for the public space too, since you've been appointed as one of our interims. Thank you for helping to lead the department these last few busy months in the high season for our Parks and Rec and Waterfront departments. So are there questions from the board on this reclassification item? Councilor Travers?
Well, I guess I just have one question. Aaron, may apply to this as well as to future requests. Apologies for not getting it to you in advance. I guess my question for you is this. You know, as you work to restabilize the department, you know, it's one thing to reclassify a position, but no matter how much you reclassify a position, potentially increase its pay grade, one person can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I'm wondering if you can speak to, you know, as you and other leaders within the department look to restabilize, why in this instance sort of keeping one FTE, but addressing reclassification is the way to address the needs of the department, as opposed to, you know, 2 FTEs or adding another FTE to perhaps, you know, pick up some of the other tasks. If that question makes sense.
It does, and I think to kind of peek into our process of it, one, we want to be really methodical with obviously with any reclass, but also for stabilization. This one is probably the most straightforward, that we knew that we could make some changes and it would, one, help us immediately, and then 2, to stabilize those revenues, of which I think we're all going to need, especially if we look to do any future reclasses. We need to ensure that our revenues are coming in so that we can afford them. And part of the stabilization here is also with events, but also full-time staff. I probably don't need to tell you, to run a business in the summer that's this large, one full-time person is a stretch. Our seasonal staff is exceptional. They're also seasonal staff. By putting this maintenance person under, it stabilizes not just this position, but the entirety of the waterfront. It provides us some flexibility that we desperately need as we our tasks and as we look to the future to onboard even. What we don't want to do is to come back and revise one that we do. So we spend the trident, or that's what we call ourselves, the 3 of us that are going forward here.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, you know, we had to pick something, so we went for top tier on that one. I use it colloquially, but it's helpful instead of listing all the names. You know, we've been looking at how we can stabilize this department. We certainly have some ideas. There's other areas that are gonna take a much bigger conversation, and a bigger conversation that also merits what we're going to stop doing, what services that we need to stop. We know that we do not want to stop these revenue generation services. So in a way, this one is more straightforward to talk about. The other ones are far more complex. And I think that they need to be vetted out before we even get close to here.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Barlow?
Thank you, and thank you also for spending time with me this afternoon, explaining all of this to me in great detail. I appreciated that. And I will be supporting this reclass tonight. You know, we have had a discussion on this board of trying to limit reclassifications given the financial circumstances of the city and trying to do those things as part of the budgeting process, but I understand this has been going on. This particular discussion has been going on for over years, and so there's that. And I also appreciate what you explained to me about how events have been being handled, and this will put more order and structure around it rather than the dependency on the maintenance staff to do this. I personally, and I think others on the council and maybe through the administration, have an interest in growing the number of events down at the waterfront. And so this would be another core capability that you would have in order to effectuate that goal. So I am supportive of this tonight. Even make the motion discussions and.
Thank you, Councilor Barlow. Other questions before we go to a motion?
Then I would move to approve and authorize the reclassification of the marine manager and deputy harbor master position, a regular full-time exempt, non-union grade 18 position to a regular full-time exempt, non-union grade 20 position in the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Waterfront.
Thank you, Councilor Barlow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Travers. Any further discussion on this item before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4.2 is another reclassification, this one for the deputy director position of the aviation at our airport. Welcome. You want to take it away, give like a little high level overview, and then we'll see if there's questions.
Very good.
Oh, and I did.
Hi, Mayor.
Yes.
I will proceed. So we're bringing this forth, this reclassification. This is an existing position that we had that had been previously approved. It has been vacant for years. We have taken a fresh look at it and edited to better align with what fits today as we have evolved, what is going to fit the airport better. And so this is a slight increase to the current rate and salary, and that is related there. We have included this as part of our budget process this year. So this was anticipated and we've been planning on this. And now we're bringing this forward to better align with what our needs are at the airport to serve our organization better. Did I miss anything, Nick?
Do you have anything you want to add, Nick?
I think that was perfectly said. I'm sorry I can't join you in person. Got a little cold going on. I can't wait for this position to be approved. The last person in this position was myself. So I'm very eager to see this move forward to help with high level processes as you see in the job description and as Marie explained.
Thank you, Nick. Questions or comments from board members? This is interesting. There's no extra comments, so that's okay. All right, well then I will see if there is a motion. Councilor Barlow.
To approve and recommend the city council approve the reclassification of the position of deputy director of aviation, business and strategic development to a grade 27.
Thank you, Councilor Barlow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Travers. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Marie, and Nick, feel better. Thanks very much. Team.
Thank you all.
All right, moving on. Item 4.3 is related to our waterfront tax increment financing the TIP district audit from PFA / assessors / treasurers, but our new Department of Finance administration. So Joe, welcome.
Great, thanks.
Great.
Okay, yeah, so this was an ongoing process due to our TIP audit from 2023 that the state auditor's office conducted. We got the report back in January of 2023. And then it's basically a process that's been drawn out. Essentially, we owe the ed fund due to miscalculations, software problems, and things of that nature, around 197,000. From I think 2011 to 2023 or 2021, yeah. So those came in a variety of ways, mainly 3 ways, and basically it's been drawn out since 2023. Change of administration, change of staff, and I think we're at the point now where it just needs to be paid. We were going to contest it, but it kind of got drug out, and we didn't feel real strongly about that anyway. So again, at this point, we're at the point where we just need to get rid of it. Essentially that bill or that responsibility has been there for a while. We just now got the bill in January of this year, I think, from the tax department. So in receiving that bill, it's one of those things that we just kind of need to wrap up. It's been there for
It is, I will just add, I think the last item that needs to be followed up on from the 2022 audit of this district. We are expecting another audit of this district from 2021 to the end of the district. And so part of the time sensitivity here is wanting to clear the remaining audit findings. And it is a story that has gone on for several years, and it's all outlined in this memo from Ashley. But if there's any other questions, we're happy to entertain them.
I do just want to appreciate how many senior staff have been working on this for across 2 different administrations as well to try to track this and bring this to resolution. So just want to add that because there's been a lot of folks who've held this and tried to figure out ways to untangle what has been a bit confusing and hard to engage with different various parts of state government, which is also added to the length of this particular timeline.
it has, and Betsy completely turned over their staff amongst all this too. So it has been really ongoing and complicated. I will say that we do have some methods in place, processes in place now that this won't happen again. None of those calculation errors will.
Joe. So open it up for questions or comments from the members of the board. Councilor Barlow?
Yes, and thank you for this, and aware that this has been ongoing. I guess the one thing I want some clarity on is that the money will be coming from unassigned fund balance. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And is that been the sort of plan since we stopped contesting it and had the intention to pay it?
Yes.
And I know we have a target of our unassigned fund balance of 5 to 15%. Where would this put us in that spectrum?
We have in our FY24 audit is the most recent data available, and so our current balance is 7.2%, and so this would have us close. I don't know what sorry. That would bring us closer to 7%, but still well within the 5 to 15% range.
Thank you. And are there any other sort of anything that's happened, I guess, in FY25? Now I'm asking you to act without me, which is probably wrong to you, but things that we sort of see on the horizon as trend lines that could impact that unassigned fund balance negatively from that 7% down to a lower limit of 5 right now? Just
Not that we are currently aware of.
thank you, and I'm sorry I put you on. the
No,
spot.
it's okay.
And to clarify, Catherine, we won't know the next update on the unassigned fund balance until we're through the audit, which is when exactly.
That's right. We will know that like towards the end of December, beginning of January, we'll get the full audited. What does the auditor say that the FY 25 balance is? But we are not aware of other items now requiring the use of that balance.
And I appreciate the question, Councilor Barlow, because I had a similar question. It's hard, but I think this is an informed enough based on our last known official unassigned fund balance. So, but I share your same, you know, have to be cautious around the use of this because this is really for unanticipated expenses. Anything else, Councilor Barlow?
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board? Any final thoughts, Joe?
No, but just know that moving forward, we've got it all wrapped up. Put some things in place to not let this happen.
And I do appreciate the emphasis on that because as we continue to manage chips, we are continually trying to apply different safeguard measures so that there's clarity and that we're clearly communicating with the current VEPC staff, which again are new, relatively new, to make sure that we are responding to any issues that they flag or the state auditor flags and making sure we have strong communication there. Appreciate Joe, your work on that as well as within the team at DFA. I get used to saying that now. It's already okay. All right. Well, with that, is there a motion? The board. So Barlow, do you want to?
I'll do one more.
All right, thank you. And then we have to share. And then we have to share.
I'll move to approve and recommend that the city council authorize the chief administrative officer to take all necessary or convenient steps to ensure the repayment of the state education fund in a total amount of $197,510 from the city's unassigned fund balance to resolve the underpayment issues noted in the state's Waterfront TIF district audit.
Thank you, Councilor Barlow. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Travers. Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Catherine. Moving on to item 4.4, which is approving the pledging of the credit to the city in anticipation of the receipt of our revenue from the traffic division. Revenue public. David, hello.
Hello. Thank you. I could do a quick overview, Brent.
Great.
Okay, great. This is a continuation of annual borrowing that we have collectively done together over the last several years. The Parking Facilities Fund, which oversees garages and lots downtown, made some capital improvements. Our garages, as you know, are aging. Marketplace nearly 50 years old. And we did approximately $3 million worth of capital work. We borrowed for that work prior to COVID, and then COVID hit, and we didn't have the revenue and the debt coverage ratio to continue with our private borrowing. So we moved to short-term revenue anticipation notes, and we have done that for the last several years. This is the same amount that we have sought in past years. This is a year-by-year borrowing. I am pleased to say that in working with the DFA, not the CT office, that the borrowing arrangement this year allows us to prepay and to buy down the principal. As in FY 25, it looks like we had a net income of around $350,000 to $400,000. We're planning to use that net income to pay down the principal of this $2.5 million, or to pay partly down the principal of this debt, and that the interest rate that the DFA was able to secure is under 5%, far below the 7%. percent in the memo. So with that, happy to answer any questions. We are continuing to put products in place, City Place opening up and other demands to recharge the demand for downtown garage and lot parking.
Jacob, questions or comments from the board? Councilor Chambers.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Spencer, I'm wondering if you can sort of take us back to 2019. I'm just trying to understand why back then we took out the loan that we did. Had there been a loan prior to that point in time? What was the purpose of taking it out back in 2019?
Sure. We have been working to strengthen the health of these funds. There's two special revenue funds. The parking facilities fund that we're discussing here is for garages and lots downtown. The traffic fund receives the revenue from on-street parking, street parking, and funds a range of activities. While we did have some fund balance prior to COVID, the magnitude of the capital repairs were such that, and the rates were favorable such that we thought that spreading out the payments over time was beneficial. We know we needed somewhat of a healthy fund balance and positive net income each year to meet our debt coverage ratio minimums. And so we thought at the time that we'd have the revenues to pay not only interest but principal. Since COVID, we've been paying interest but not principal. This payment here that we think we can make with the proceeds from FY25 will be our first substantive kind of payment against that. We do have one other debt instrument, which is $750,000 in this fund, and we have money in this year's budget to be paying the principal and interest down on that over 3 years. So it's $250,000 more or less in the budget to handle that smaller debt instrument.
And regrets for asking some of these 101 questions on the fly here, but because this fund is supported by a dedicated revenue source, is that why we can loan for capital improvements separate and apart from the capital bonding that would go to other infrastructure needs of the city? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then just sort of looking towards the future here, can you provide an overview of, from your perspective, where we now stand in terms of capital and infrastructure improvement needs for our garages? I know we've done a great deal of work to get them into better shape, but you know, where does this put us in terms of our footing and any other needed improvements to our lots and garages around the city?
It's a good question. Marketplace Garage is our oldest garage, built in 1976, so it'll be 50 years old next year. The College Street Garage, which is part of the downtown garage behind the Hotel Champlain, was built in the 1980s by a private developer. And then the Lakeview Garage is our newer garage that was built with Macy's development and then expanded as part of Hotel Vermont. And it's about 15 years old. So when I came on board, there had not been a recent evaluation of garages. We did a 2014 engineering study, looked at all the garages, had a work plan out of that. We have done much of that work. I would say the biggest future liability is going to be Marketplace Garage at 50 years old, to be able to continue to give it another 15 years of work. There will be a scope in the coming years to give it that additional lifespan if we want to consider it as a site for a unified public safety facility. You know, we may not need to make those investments, but those would be the next investments. Our lots are in reasonable shape and they don't require heavy capital to resurface or resign. It's really the structures, the garages that are our capital intensive assets.
Sorry, can I just ask one final question here, which is that as we look towards the projected gain of $400,000 to the fund as referenced, and, you know, to show the net positive around $400,000, can you speak to what trend lines from your perspective that's based off of? Is it assuming flat? Is it assuming, I know you mentioned opening of I think we're back to going.
Square,
yes. Yeah. So can you just speak in a little bit more detail as to what trend lines we're making assumptions on to reach that net positive of 400,000?
Yes, the 400,000 in FY '25 are the projected actuals at year end. We were soft on revenues, what we budgeted in '25. We hit revenues of about 80%. Our expenses were around 77%, which is what gave us the 400,000, approximately 400,000 delta. So we are under where we want to be in terms of overall revenue, but we've been managing expenses to be under budget as well, so that we keep a net positive performance. The good news is that, you know, anything over that 80%, as long as we're continuing to be vigilant on expenses, I am confident we can deliver another positive year that can pay further down the debt that we have. It is going to be a long, slow climb. This $202.5 million of debt is our annual budget. Revenues last year were $2.8 million. So the debt is significant to the fund. But the goal here, if we get $300,000 to $500,000 a year of principal knockdown, then get this out of the way in the next 5 to 7 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chatters. Any other questions or comments from the board on item 4.4? Seeing none, is there a motion by someone other than Councillor Barlow, unless you feel very motivated on this one? Councillor Chatters.
Move to approve and recommend the City Council waive the reading and adopt the proposed resolution approving the renewal of an existing revenue anticipation note for the Parking Facilities Fund in an amount not to exceed $2.5 million and with an interest rate not to exceed 7.5%.
Thank you, Councillor Chatters. Is there a second? Seconded by Councillor Barlow. Thank you. Any further discussion on this by the board before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. I'm trying to speak loudly to get the camera to come back to me, but it's not going to happen, I guess. But they are still in the room, I swear. Thank you, Chapin. Appreciate it. All right, on to our last deliberative agenda item, which is item 4.5. And do you want to just join us at the table? Within DFA, our HR team, the item is regarding the ratification of the tentative agreement and authorizing the execution of the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Burlington and the FOP BPOA, which is our police union in plain language, for a contract duration from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th of 2028. This is an item that we briefed the City Council on, was that August 4th? August 4th in executive session on the terms of the tentative agreement. It took some questions from councilors, but now we're at a point of coming to the last step, which is finalizing and ratification by first the Board of Finance and then City Council tonight. That we normally are trying to get away from concurring items, but because the council had a good two plus weeks or so with this item, we're now moving this in both bodies. So Lynn, do you have anything you want to say just for the record, I guess, on this item before we see if there's any final questions or comments by the board?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think I just want to reiterate how well I think the city team was, as well as the BPOA team led by their president, Joe Coro. All of the meetings were very engaging by both parties, good conversation, and I think that just really lends to the fact that we are strengthening that partnership with the police department, and I think the meetings were a reflection of that.
Thank you, Lynn. And also appreciation to you, Lynn, for leading our bargaining team with all of our various departments who were supportive of the management side of this in terms of bargaining. It's the first contract since I've been there. I was just appreciative of how in good faith we were practicing throughout, and how close to the expiration of the last contract we got with ratifying or tentatively agreeing to this particular new contract. Questions or comments by the board? This item. Travis.
I won't have an opportunity to speak on this later, so I just want to use this opportunity now to extend my thanks as well to Lynn, to our whole bargaining team, city attorney's office included, Attorney Brown, as well as our outside counsel and Karen Stackpole. Also to the extent representatives from the BPOA are tuned in, and I know, Mayor, that they will hopefully be here later on this evening. My gratitude to them as well. And I think the collective bargaining agreement with the BPOA is perhaps the most important tool that we have available to us to address the recruitment and retention challenges that we continue to face at the police department. I think that this contract continues to meet the mark in hopefully addressing the staffing challenges that we have ahead of us. I'm particularly grateful for our team's work, as well as the union's openness to our addressing historic barriers to lateral recruitment into the department. I think one of the fastest ways that we can address our recruitment challenges is to bring new officers in here who are already certified to do this work in the state, that we don't have to wait months for them to go through the academy class. Of course, we welcome new hires as well, but to the extent this can incentivize certified officers to make the move here to Burlington to work here with our community, I think this makes really historic changes to that end. And wanted to take a moment to highlight that, again, express my gratitude to you and the team. This has my strongest support. I look forward to voting for it here as well as later this evening.
Councilor Travers. Any other comments or questions on this item? Councilor Barlow.
I'll just echo the Councilor Travers's comments. Strong analysis, strong support. So, thank you.
Thank you. Team effort for sure.
Is there a motion on this last item? It is a very simple one. At least as
Waive the reading and adopt the resolution.
Thank you. MVP. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Travers. Any final comments or questions before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Great, and we will be joined by BPOA leadership at the city council meeting for those who want to tune in later, just to hear any comments that they have to offer on this item. And thank you, Councilor President Travers, in that regard, for allowing them to have some time to speak when we get to that item. The council delivered it. All right, then, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with no other business for the Board of Finance, I will adjourn the meeting at 5:11 p.m. Thank you, everybody.